This conference will now be recorded.
Yes, Dinesh.
Yeah, Gopal, before we start today, so the class in which you have explained everything, like how to create the AWS account and then proceed. Okay, so that class actually we are missing. Okay, so although like I have tried to create an account, but yes, like I wasn't able to proceed with rest of the things like creation of EC2 and all. So if we can get the recording of that class, then probably we can start practicing those stuffs.
Yeah, so what by mistake Ravi said it at the recordings of our demo that we had last week. So I'm in class 1 and 2, which is on Monday or Tuesday. That whatever we discuss, we haven't have anything to proceed.
So Monday and Tuesday recordings you got or not yet?
No.
So
Yeah. Hi, sir.
We have only the Tuesday's recording.
Hello?
Monday's recording is actually a duplicate of the demo class.
okay. So after the session, I'll just share all those. Let me go through and let me share it after the session. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So let me log into AWS console. So you're able to create servers or not?
No, Gopal.
Okay. So any issues you're facing?
Actually, we are waiting for that the recording of the first class. Okay. Yeah, so we want to follow that and want to proceed with the steps that you have explained on that day.
Okay.
Once we have that recording, then probably we would be able to proceed and yeah, hands-on and do some hands-on on that.
And then we might have questions for you, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yes, sir. Third class I have sent you, right?
Yeah, third class we have.
Why they are
That is the
asking about
12th class.
yeah, it's Monday class, right?
Yeah.
We have done 3 classes, right? Monday and next Monday. Okay.
Technically, yeah. Technically, the course started on this Monday, like our Sunday.
Yeah, that is the second class, right?
Right. And whatever you sent is like.
I'll show you. I'll show you 1 second.
Okay.
Monday class, next class is second class. Okay. Tuesday class is 12th class.
Yeah,
1
so
second.
on
I'll share
second
my screen
class,
and
the video is belongs to last week Monday class.
I send you first class. Okay. Okay. We have, sir. We have first class. Okay. Don't worry. I'll send you.
Yeah,
Second class I have.
yeah.
I'll send you. Okay.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah. So in yesterday's session, what we discussed about how to install the softwares inside the Lightbox and how you need to add the users and how a user profile looks like. All those things we have seen in yesterday's session. So in today's session, we'll see how to read the file, how you check your background process which are running on Linux, how you restart your services, how you basically how you check your application logs. Okay? Now, so whenever you want to start any services in the Linux, okay. So if I want to, there are some XYZ services. Okay, if you want to start any services inside the server, all the services are present under the /etc init.b. Okay, so this is a path where all your services are present inside your Linux box. I just go this side. If I do ls space minus ltr, so you can see the list of softwares which are present, list of services.
Really? And
Okay, so I'm just making all again of that
అయిపోతుంది
noise.
మామూలు జోలు ఆడికి కట్ చేసి పెట్టేటట్టు ఇప్పుడు.
Okay, so under /etc18.d, I can see the list of services which are under the Linux system. Okay, so here you can find it and you can stop or you can start or whatever you want to do. Okay, so to start or to stop a services, the command is service. Example, now you have something called SSHD service. Okay, if I want to restart, okay, if I want to do SSHD restart, this is a command. Okay, you can see. If you want to stop, simply you want to stop, you can do stop, or if you want to do start, you can do simply start like this. So service followed by your service name and followed by your action, what kind of action. So this command works from any path on the Linux server. Okay, it's not mandatory. Okay, you should come to this path and you should execute, but you can execute from any path. Okay, so that command you can execute, or else what you can do, okay, some if you're on different path. Okay, so you can execute the command like this as well, int.d sshd restart. Okay, so not only service command, you can give the complete path of the file of service file and followed by the file name and followed by the action. Okay, so this command also, like, you can give the complete file name path and you can execute as well. Okay, it's up to you how you need to run it.
So Gopal, we need to provide this the whole path like etc init.d and then service name and restart, or as you are saying, I can do it from by typing service name and stop and start restart
It's up to you.
from any.
Both
Okay,
commands will work.
both commands are valid, right?
Yes. Okay, so that's all. So you can use any of the command. Okay, it depends, it's up to you what command you want to use, and at the particular time what command you want to use and what command you want to run. Okay, so but both the commands are same kind of action, which are similar kind of action performed. Okay, so that's about the services. Now wait you example. Now I was keep on restarting my SSD. Okay, so when I keep on restarting my SSD, okay, where do I see my logs of a particular service? If I want to see the logs of particular services, so where do I see? If you doesn't know the path, by defaultly the path for all the application logs are present under the var log. So Verilog is a place where you have all your system plus application logs are stored. Okay. So if I go to cd Verilog, if I do ls space minus ltr, you can see all the log files. So now uh, I was saying, right. So when you have Amazon Linux or any secure, okay, or cloud log files or made yum log files, what are the commands you are trying to execute on them? So all the like log files are stored under here. Example, if you're not able to find a particular log files. You have a service. Example, let do this. I'll yum install HTTPD. I'm trying to install Apache on server. Okay. So once I install Apache, okay. So now you can see HTTPD logs as came. Okay. Now previously, HTTP logs are not there here. You see here, right? But for installation, I got the HTTP logs immediately. Now, if you're not seeing the logs here in var log, if suppose, then what you have to do, you have to go to your service file and you have to read your inside your service file. They will define the log path. Okay. Example, if I take a HTTP an example, now I install, right? So if suppose the file is not present here, so it should present somewhere, right? So how do you check? You have to cat etc int.d. Where is your service file? Here, right? Under int.d, you have your service file, right? So open the service file. So this is your service file. There is a complete shell. You can see here. If I go here, you can see we calling the function, we're doing something else. Reload. So you can see here. Okay. So all your PID are stored under var log. So var log, it has been stored over here. Okay. So this is all. So it shows a proper details of the files where all the files like PDA file, process ID file, we say as process ID file, all these things are where it has been stored. Okay. So if you want to see, you can see your configuration files are stored under this path examples. Okay. So you can see all the PID file, configuration files, everything is been stored. So now in this file we are not able to see. You can go into configuration file and see where the logs files are present. Okay. So let's take this path configuration file, cat this path. Okay. So if I do cat this path, it shows your complete configuration file of your server. So you can see all your error log files where it has been. Okay. So you can see custom logs. So your PID file, server root files. So you can see all the files. So where your root files, everything. So etcd logs, servers as logs here. Okay. Okay. So that's the etc. What you are saying, HTTPD. Okay. So if you go here, see. Here you see. So if I go to, okay, now the logs are going under the etc HTTPD. So you can see a soft link has been created. So logs. So when some logs are trying to store in the log section, so where it's referring to the logs, it's referring to here, var log HTTPD, which I showed you like this. Okay. So you can go under your particular software installation or service file, and you can see where all your log files or configuration files where has been stored. So you can go to the particular path and you can search for your details in the Linux, not only Linux, in Windows or whatever it is. Okay. So if you want to search something, make sure you simply go to your configuration files and just start searching for your details. So you'll definitely find it something. Okay. So now I go to var log and cd HTTPD. Okay. So if I do pwd var log HTTPD, this is a logs path, right? If I do ls space minus ldr, I see right now the logs are empty because the Apache has not been started, right? So now what I do is service HTTP started. So my service has been started. If I do ls space minus ltr, see immediately 2 log files has been generated. Previously 0 files because the service has not started. So when I start my services, it has been started. Now what happened if any error logs come when someone trying to access your HTTP and your HTTP is not coming up properly. Okay, it's showing an error, then the logs can be seen under the error logs. If suppose if you're trying to access your Apache from the web UI, okay, who is trying to access, so from which IP he's hitting my services, all those things can be seen under the access.log. Okay, how do you do that? uh, how do you check that? So if you do cat access.log, you can see right now the file is empty. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'll show you. Okay, so now when I access my UI, okay, when I access my Apache's website, I want to see the logs. I want to see the logs will generate and the logs can be seen under the one. Okay, for that you can go here. Now enter. Now Apache sites comes up. Just a second. So I did not allow the SH. I need to allow the HTTP access, HTTP, which runs on POT. So this was blocking previously. Now let me add. Now let me check it out. Now it should work. See, test Amazon XAML test page. Okay, now I got this page. Now I go back here. Now if I do cat access.log, see, I got some log files. So someone hit from this IP itself. Okay, someone hit from this IP. Okay, so he was trying to access from Chrome. Okay, Chrome followed some version, and I'm trying to access from HTTP using this is a URL I have been hit. Okay, so that's how. So I'm using a Mac OS operating system. So you can see what 10.14.2 version I'm using. So it got all my details. Okay, so when you are trying to access the web page, you want to see the live logs. Okay, so see, when I read the file, when I do cat only, I was able to see the files, right? So but I want to see the logs live when someone is trying to access the UI. So someone has reported something saying like, okay, when I'm trying to access the UI, I'm getting some errors. Okay, so you want to troubleshoot. When you want to troubleshoot, then what you have to do, you have to see the logs lively. Okay, so when the logs are getting generated during that time, you want to see. Okay, so how do you see? Tail is a command to do that. Tail space minus f. Okay, so tail minus f will read the logs continuously when the logs has been generated into the file. Okay, so it can be any file. Okay, so tail minus f is the one. So if I enter, see, it's trying to read the log files and it has been stopped. There are no logs, or there are no file lines are getting generated. Now let me show you here. Now if I now if I refresh, see, the immediately got generated online. Now I give some space and I refresh something. I refresh something. I refresh something. See, when I refresh, it gets some lines. Who has been entering what they're trying to do.
And
So
it doesn't necessarily like from one machine you are accessing or many machines you are accessing. It will write everything, right?
sorry.
Like it doesn't matter like from how many machines it is interacting with that Apache. It will
Exactly.
write
It doesn't
everything,
matter.
right?
Doesn't matter. Just give me a second. Just a second.
Sure.
Sorry. Hello?
Yeah, Gopal.
Yeah, sorry.
Sure.
Some urgent call. Okay, fine. So, so what I was saying, so whenever you want to see the logs lively of your application, so the command tail space minus F followed by your file name, which shows all your logs lively. Okay, so you can see here all the logs it keep on showing you. Okay, so when you if you want to come out, just you do a Control C or Control Z, which comes from that particular loop. Okay, so it goes into the loop. If you want to come out, you do a Control Z or Control C. It's up to you what you want to do. Okay, so that's how you have to search for a. That's how you see the logs of your application. Okay, so if you want to, okay, now when you do a tail minus F, it shows uh, from last 10 or 15 lines. But if suppose I want to see the logs of from last 1,000 lines, okay, so you have to do tail space minus I 1,000 F space the file name. Okay, so that's what you have to do. Okay, so you have to do thousand, which tells you about uh, how many old logs you want to read. That many number of lines you have to add it. If you want to see from last 100, you can see from last 100, and after that it will show the live logs again. Okay, now so okay, now I want to read the logs page by page. Now example, if you have some some big file, okay, very big file, okay, so you should not use the cat command, remember. So cat command should not be used when you are having a simple file. Okay, so a bigger file. Okay, so cat is a command which uses to show a one page file. That's it, not more than that. Okay, if you do a cat now, if you have some hundreds of lines of pages, so it will not stop at one page. It will complete, it keeps on show and keeps on goes. Okay, so what you have to do is you have to do less command, less followed by access.log. Okay, or maybe you can do more. Okay, so okay, so less is a command followed by your file name, which shows the, if you enter you can see, so it shows the logs page. If you have, this is a page, this complete page has been filled up, so it shows you page by page the logs. Clear?
Yes, Gopal.
Yeah, Gopal.
Okay, so that's how it works. Now you do a control C. Okay, that's all. Q, then you have to, okay, so if you want to come out of the loop of this one, you have to enter Q. Okay, Q is a command which immediately comes out of the loop. Okay, so my microphone went into mute. So make sure you doesn't unmute, okay? So I'm not sure, I think there is some restriction on this GoToMeeting if too many people are unmuted. If you have any questions only, please unmute yourself. Okay, so that's what. So less is a command uh, which will show you a pages page by page. Okay. Now next thing. Now I've been started my HTTP services. Okay. If you want to check what all process running on your Linux box, how do you check it? The command ps space minus es is a command to check the list of process on your Linux box. Okay. If I enter, you can see all the list of process which are running. Okay, like this. Now, sorry, again it went to mute. Sorry. So what I was saying, PS minus EF will show the list of process which running on my system. You can see, okay. So what all process has been running, with what root, with what user it has been running, and what is the process ID. Okay. Suppose if you want to get the if you want to check, okay, I don't want to get all this process ID. I want to get process only for my particular application. What I do, you do pipe followed by grep. Grep means find that particular value which I give to you. PS minus EF pipe grep HTTPD. Okay, so I want to see all my Apache services which are running. Okay, if I do see, immediately shows. So these are the Apache services which are running on my system, and along with that what process ID it is been running. Okay, so these are the things which it gonna show to me. Clear?
Yes, Gopal.
Okay, so now if I want to kill my process, okay, if I want to stop my process, what you have to do, then you have to do service httpd stop. Okay, you can stop your services. This is all. But in few scenarios what happens, when you stop your services also, there are some dead process which keeps on running at your backend. Now you see, after stopping service, if I do the same command here, what are the command I have done here, these are the services is running. Now if I do, there are no process, so I got some one output. This output is belongs to the command which I've run. This is not the exact process. Okay. Okay, so now this is a grep command. So a user has been run a grep command, right? So it has, this is a process, this is also process, one of the process I executed. It shows my process as output, but this is not the actual output of what I'm expecting. This is what actual output which has been stopped. When I stopped it, it closed. To verify, I just tried it. When I see nothing has came, that means my services has been successfully stopped. But in few scenarios, services might not stop. In only few scenarios, not every time, but few scenarios, the services might not stop. So if services might, okay. So now what we're gonna do is here, when your service is running at the background, first thing what you have to do, you have to use this command kill -9 followed by your process ID. Okay, now example, I'll show you for one process. Let's take one process from here. Okay. Okay, let's take this. Let's start the services Apache. Okay, so and I do like this. Now when I do like this, next thing what I gonna do is I want to stop. Okay, so you can if you do Apache also, it will show you with the, if you want to check with a particular username, your process started with a particular user, you want to check, you can check like this. Okay, so now here if I go here, this is the uh, you can take the process ID of 3171 and you can kill it. Okay. Now to stop your services directly, kill -9 followed by 3171. Okay. When I enter it, see what I done. I done kill -9 followed by process ID, and now I do Apache. Okay. Okay. So sorry, this is a process ID. Okay, so now what I've done, I just this is a process ID. So I took the process ID and what I've done, kill -9 3173. Okay, when I do it, my 3173 process ID, this one of the process ID and kill, and it shows the remaining details. Okay, so that's how it works. So if you want to verify your things here, very simple, process plus grep, and if you want to kill particular process, kill -9 followed by process. So these are some dead process which still running in the background. If you want to kill those kind of process, what you can do, you can do it. Okay, so that's how it works. Now what is the next thing we gonna do is uh, you have seen our process starting, stopping, killing the process, seeing the logs, right? So now let's see what all things are remaining here on my slash. So now here, see, now you have where. Now I have where we have etc. Where is a place all your log files. It is a place where you see all your configuration files. TMP temp is all your temporary files. You have a root is a root home directory file. Home is the one which have all your user profile directories. So these are the all these things are process files. Okay, so like you see all your system libraries, binaries, and all these files are belongs to your system libraries and binaries files. And the most important thing one you should know is USR. USR is the one all your other applications. Now USR is a place where when I install application, application can be configured in etc, or else under USR libraries also you can configure. Okay, so when you are trying to install manually, you can use USR as well for that. Now, so if you want to see list of drives, for example, when you go to my computer, you see C drive, D drive, E drive in Windows, right? Similarly, if you want to see in Linux system, you do df space -h. So you see, so when you do this by mounted, like see this slash dev, this slash dev sSHM, like this, you see different things, right? Now see, so all the drives are stored under the dev slash dev. From the partition parts come from the slash dev followed by the other xd va or some other variables it's gonna assign. Okay, so if you do slash dev, okay, so you can see all your drives, system drive details are stored under this path. Remember, all your logs, disks, everything are stored under the slash dev. Okay, so no, we don't do anything much. Remember, I'm just explaining you, that's it. We don't touch anything on the drives part. Okay, so which is completely automated from every from chef or Ansible. We want to do that, all the partitions will go. Okay, now, so there is a place you see, or in bin all you see all your binary files. Excuse me. Sorry. Now, next thing what we're gonna see is we're gonna see about how you need to locate your things. Okay, so when you want to find some files, example, I have http file. Okay, I don't know where is my file. Okay, or my file load. So if you don't know, if you want to find out in the Linux, okay, so in the Windows it's going to folders and finding where is, or maybe you get a search option where you give file name, it searches for your Windows. So it's very simple from there. But same from Linux, how do you do that? Use a find followed by the path, in which path you want to search it. If I want to search it from a complete system, slash defines your complete system followed by minus I name followed by name. So what kind of name you want to give it? Okay, so here you want to give the name as something uh, example httpd, right? So I name httpd. When I do enter, so immediately it search it. So there is, with the http name file or a folder, in all this path it provides. Okay, in this all the path where you can see http. So now you can decide whether which one you exactly require, and which one you need to take it. All those things you can see. Clear?
Yeah, Gopal.
Okay, so now, so this is how finding a file. And now okay, let's see about permissions. Okay, I've created two files. There is a two files which test and demo. Okay, listen this carefully. You might get confused. Okay, so now see. Okay, let's take this complete line. This is your complete line when you do it. So what you do, first line, what I told you, first line, if you say hyphen, it's a file, or it's some might be soft link or something else. If it starts with a D, it's a directory, right? That is clear. Now you have rw hyphen, r hyphen hyphen, r hyphen hyphen. You have these things. rw hyphen, r hyphen hyphen, r hyphen hyphen. What is this? What does it mean? Okay, so what does it means r means read, w means write. Okay, finally you have execute. So you have three permissions in Linux: read, write, execute. You have three permissions. These three defines that. So read, write hyphen means this should be execute actually. So read, write, execute, read, write, execute, read, write, execute. Like this, the permission should be. So read has a permission of 4, write has a permission of 2, execute has a permission of 1. Okay, now previously when I see my file, how it is there? Hyphen 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 hyphen. Okay, that means read, write, and means 4 plus 2. 4 plus 2, what is the value?
6.
6, right? Read hyphen hyphen means 4, hyphen hyphen means 0 0, 4.
Okay.
Afterwards again 4 means, what is the permission of my file?
It's 1. Execute.
Means 644. Okay, so 644 is a permission. Then I already have read, write, execute. Again, why read, write, execute? Why again? Why means first permission defines the particular user who created the file, user of file. Okay, so second permission defines the group of the user, this user groups which the user is belongs to. Next is overall system permissions. Okay, means other users who are part of in the server. You might have lot of users, right? So who are other users? Okay, like this you have users, groups, and overall system permission, user permissions. Okay, now this user means this user. The first one defines the user, second one is a group. Okay, third one is defines the groups. Okay, now when you, okay, now this file doesn't have the execute. Now example, now test is a file, right? So which doesn't have the execute permission, whether the user root doesn't have, group doesn't have, or the system no one has. Now I'll save the file. Now if I want to execute the file, what I do, dot slash test, these are command I do, enter. See, permission denied given immediately. Why it has given? Because the file doesn't have the execute permission for anyone. Okay, then what you have to do, you have to, for user you have to give the execute permission. That means x permission you have to give it to execute the file x. That means 4 plus 2 plus 1, the permission should be 7. 744 the permission should be for test file. Okay, to execute a file. Then what I do, to change the permission of the file. Okay, so chmod is a command, remember, chmod 744 followed by a test file, enter. Okay, now the permission has been changed. Now if I do ls space minus l here, see, the permission has been changed.
Right.
Right, now if I do execute, it should work. See, now the file is getting executed, right? There are some errors inside it, but it's because it's not a proper test file, it's not a proper a shell script file. That's the reason it's thrown an error, right? That means you are able to execute the file. Previously it has given the permission denied, now I was able to execute, but there are some syntax errors which you need to resolve. Okay, so that's how you give the change the file permissions. So if you want to give a permission to the group, so example, DevOps is a group. In that, like, lot of DevOps teammates are there, so all the DevOps persons should get the execute permission, right? So read and execute, if you want to give read and execute for your group. Okay, so it should be execute means 7 5. Okay, 7 5. Okay, if you want to give execute permission for overall systems, any user, a normal user also can execute this file, means you have to give 5. It should be rwx rwx levels 755. Any person in the system can execute my file, but other users, they are not able to write. If they open the file, they cannot edit the file, they can only execute the file. That what permissions you are giving.
Okay.
Okay, so this is how you give it the permissions by using chmod. Now, if I want to change the user and group of a file, now changing the file permission is fine. If I, okay, now this file is belongs to root and the group is root. I don't want the file should be on the root user. I want to have it some different EC2 user we have. I want to have this file with that username and that user group. Then what you do, chown is a command followed by ec2-user, ec2-user followed by test, enter. Okay, so if I do ls space minus ltr, see, chown command followed by your username and your group name and followed by file name, which change the permissions of your file from that root user to that particular user. So chown is a file command to change the permission of a user and group. Clear?
Yeah, Gopal.
So that's how managing of permissions and files of a user. Okay, so I'll just stop over here for today. So let's catch up tomorrow and let's see about writing the shell scripts.
So
Okay,
tomorrow,
so
yeah.
we are pending the shell
Tomorrow,
script and grep, seeing a grep command, and afterwards our sed. So these are the major commands in shell. Let's catch up tomorrow and let's see shell scripting as well as these commands. Okay.
okay.
Gopal, I have a quick question. It is on
Yes.
the sidetrack. Wanted to know which Apple laptop would be good. I mean, which one you are using? Is it iMac Pro or iMac Air?
Not pro, I think. Just let me. Actually, this laptop I got from my brother. Let me check. So I don't think Pro is a good one. Don't go with the Pro because it's very delicate one. Yeah. Sorry, MacBook Pro is a better one. Yeah, go with the Pro.
With the Pro, right?
Yeah,
Because
mine
with
is
the
Pro.
Air has 8 GB of RAM and Pro is has 16.
Yes, exactly. So Air is the one where you use for official purpose. Like example, if you are a manager or if you are some CEO of a company, just for dropping mails or something like that, go we have to use it. But when you are working some from technical perspective, we have to go with the Pro.
Yeah, that
So
was
because
the
one
question
Pro
I
is a
was.
very stronger one, you get a very thick layer.
Yes, you're right.
Yeah,
That's
go with
what
the
I
Pro.
was wanted to ask you, which one you are using.
Yeah,
You know,
mine is Pro.
yours is Pro.